Theories came from somewhere. These legends come from somewhere. Uh, Now, these ancient Atlanteans very well may have planted a seed by teaching indigenous tribes on how to build these pyramids, and they posed as gods or were saw as gods, so they're guaranteed to get the work done, but it was to no avail. After thousands of generations, the pyramids got built, but it only created slavery and death. They had failed. It says to me they're missing one important aspect: love. Pure and holy love. And this is where religion comes into play its role, but but why? How does religion play its role? Well, to explain this, if you will, try to have an open mind, because this is my personal reflections. It doesn't have to be yours. It's how I come to understand it myself. But I can deduce the Holy Bible as truth, as well as explain why it is the truth in my eyes. But I'm no biblical scholar, but I do use logic to make sense to myself of the world that I live in. So, and also have a look at the video I made called The Power of the Beta Pleasure. It will give you an idea of this hidden energy I'm talking about. It explains how it is seen right before our very eyes in this modern world. The Bible is a collection of stories that documents instances of important people using the holy power for a good purpose in recent times. Jesus Christ was the last one to use this extraordinary power to benefit the world. Like when a star dies, the last moment of its power is an explosion, and then a gentle and dim burn follows. This power in the Christian Bible is called the Holy Spirit. It enlightens you to all that is good and true, and the more truth you know, the more wise you become to everything: history, the future, the now. Genesis is the first book of the Bible. It means the beginning. It is a famous story of Adam and Eve. Their sin was said to have been disobeying God's one command: don't eat from this tree. Well, why did he plant the tree? We have free will. Satan tempted Eve to eat from this tree. The tree represents the knowledge of good and evil, which they had no knowledge of evil. So what does that leave us with? Love. It says we are made in God's image, a God of love. It's not that we look like God, it's just that we are designed to act like God. So let's back up a bit, and we'll study Satan for a second. It said that Satan was one of God's most beautiful angels, but he became prideful and selfish, and he wanted to be God. This is the nature of Satan. It's what we began to mimic as a species, tempted by the beauty of pride and selfishness. Evil. All that was once good has now become twisted. Evil, by definition. Based on the story of Atlantis, this represents the entire history of mankind. Atlantis was described in the same way the Garden of Eden was described in Genesis, a utopia where death did not exist, and healing was as easy as thought, and the powers of love gave them the ability to perform miracles. Mankind started off as something that was once good, and over thousands and thousands of years we'd slowly become twisted and inherently evil. As time goes on, we grow further and further apart from each other at a faster rate, just like all the galaxies and the stars in the universe that we're all connected to. The individual person mimics society as a whole in almost every conceivable way. The Atlanteans considered their utopia to be life, and they tried to recreate it without love and only cause destruction. Just like we're doing now. Billionaires are trying to create artificial life because humanity is hopeless without love. This will be destruction. Think of the giants that were described in the Bible and compare them to Atlantis. The Atlanteans were described as giants that had godlike powers. The gods of the ancient people, they were giants that had godlike powers. They're all the same. The powers slowly faded, creating death. The Bible describes these people lived up to 1,000 years old at a time, just like the fallen soldiers of Atlantis, an incredibly long life. Then why would Jesus be so important to us then? It's because he's the only person in recorded history to practice true love perfectly. His miracles were so powerful and convincing that it started a new religion entirely. Jesus knows something that we don't, and it is all important that we trust what he has told us because there's something that we don't know. But what does this have to do with cover-ups, and what's been covered up and why? Well, around 250 BC existed the Library of Alexandria. It was the biggest collection of knowledge mankind has ever seen before modern times. It gave us intimate details of history that sparked so many legends. It was the foundation of all knowledge, and it was the beginning of a society of brilliant scientists and scholars, philosophers and astronomers. Alexandria is in Egypt, and I'm willing to bet there was thousands of scrolls regarding the origins of the ancient pyramids of Giza in Egypt. This library was constantly under attack, though. The documents were stolen or destroyed, and the final blow was done by Julius Caesar, the head of the Roman Empire at the time. Now, to me, it appears like the Roman Empire's mission was to establish dominance over as much land as possible by force, kind of like America. To best do this, it'd be necessary to destroy education and wipe away history. This would create a population of easily manipulated and ignorant slaves. This is the nature of the Romans, and its echo is still heard to this day. It's commonly known that there is a vault under the Vatican City that is packed with ancient scrolls that only the Pope himself is allowed to see with his very own eyes. This is the knowledge that was stolen from the Library of Alexandria. However, there's another society that has the knowledge of this information, a society that was considered secret until recently. They're called the Freemasons. They're the enemy of the Catholic Church to this day, and always have been. Freemasons know of this knowledge, the knowledge of true enlightenment. They have used symbols to represent the secret of our past that only the trained eye can deduce. The third eye, the all-seeing eye, the same reference to the gift the Holy Spirit will give you, the truth. Looking at the statistics of COVID vaccines, you will see only about half the population took the shot. That means half the population cannot be fooled. It is no coincidence that we also came from a bloodline of our forefathers who were also Freemasons, and you cannot fool a Freemason with an enlightened mind. They leave clues and secrets as hints to what they know about our past based on the Library of Alexandria had to offer in its teachings. On the back of every American dollar, there's a symbol of a pyramid, and hovering above it is the all-seeing eye of enlightenment. Almost like that hovering crystal above the pyramids back in Atlantis. The levers of power who are controlled by a group of people who know something that we do not. Now, I could be wrong about all this, I will admit. But this podcast could also very well be the answer. But what does this have to do with love? Well, in the Christian teachings, we're instructed to make our relationship with Jesus Christ better, to get to know him in every aspect of his life and personality, to study him. But why? Well, what's the benefit of becoming more aware of any of your friends' personalities? We're social creatures. We learn from each other's successes and failures. We mimic the good and avoid the bad. And we're supposed to mimic Jesus. Again, what's the point of doing that? Well, on earth we will become incredibly enlightened. And according to testimony, we will be saved in the afterlife. Now, Jesus told his people that he is God. And if God originally made us in his image, then we were originally made to act like Jesus. Adam and Eve knew nothing of evil, so what does that leave us with? Love. If we collectively love, we could create a new utopia, just like the legend of Atlantis, and peace would reign on earth again. Now, the miracles in the religious text, I know they seem far-fetched, but again, you'll have to have a look at the power of the beta pleasure, and you'll see the very power of the opposite of love take place right in America. Broadcasted on the news right in front of our eyes, and we had no clue. The power of real love is entirely undefeatable. We can learn patience and kindness, understanding and forgiveness. Life for you and all those around you will become peaceful like it was in your youth, like it was in society's youth. Happy and ready to start the day. But this journey starts at home with you. To make the world a better home, we must first make our home a better world. So seek wisdom from somewhere. Learn what love truly is and apply it every day, every chance you get.